Hinduism and Buddhism. Ananda K. Coomarswamy. 1. Introduction. Brahmanism or Hinduism is not only the oldest of the mystery religions, a rather metaphysical discipline of which we have a full and precise knowledge from literary sources, and as regards the last 2000 years also from iconographic documents, but also perhaps the only one of these that has survived with an unbroken tradition and that is lived and understood at the present day by many millions of men, of whom some are peasants and others learned men well able to explain their faith in European as well as in their own languages. Nevertheless, and although the ancient and modern scriptures and practices of Hinduism have been examined by European scholars for more than a century, it would be hardly an exaggeration to say that a faithful account of Hinduism might well be given in the form of a categorical denial of most of the statements that have been made about it, alike by European scholars and by Indians trained in our modern skeptical and evolutionary modes of thought. One would begin, for example, by remarking that the Vedic doctrine is neither pantheistic nor polytheistic, nor a worship of the powers of nature except in the sense that natura naturans est Deus, in all her powers but the names of God's acts, that karma is not fate except in the orthodox sense as the character and destiny that inhere in created things themselves, and rightly understood determines their vocation, that Maya is not illusion, but rather the maternal measure and means essential to the manifestation of a quantitative, and in this sense, material world of appearances, by which we may be either enlightened or deluded according to the degree of our own maturity. That the notion of a reincarnation in the popular sense of the return of deceased individuals to rebirth on this earth represents only a misunderstanding of the doctrines of heredity, transmigration, and regeneration, and that the six darshans of the later Sanskrit philosophy are not so many mutually exclusive systems, but, as their name implies, so many points of view which are no more mutually contradictory than are, let us say, botany and mathematics. We should also deny in Hinduism the existence of anything unique and peculiar to itself, apart from the local coloring and social adaptations that must be expected under the sun, where nothing can be known except in the mode of the knower. The Indian tradition is one of the forms of the Philosophia Perennis, and as such embodies those universal truths to which no one people or age can make exclusive claim. The Hindu is therefore perfectly willing to have his own scriptures made use of by others as extrinsic and probable proofs of the truth as they also know it. The Hindu would argue, moreover, that it is upon these heights alone that any true agreement with differing cultures can be effected. We shall try now to state the fundamentals positively, not, however, as this is usually done in accordance with the historical method, by which the reality is more obscure than illuminated, but from a strictly orthodox point of view, both as to the principles and their application, endeavouring to speak with mathematical precision, but never employing words of our own or making any affirmations for which authority could not be cited by chapter and verse. In this way, making even our technique characteristically Indian. We cannot attempt a survey of the religious literature, since this would amount to a literary history of India, where we cannot say where what is sacred ends and what is secular begins, and even the songs of Bayadeas and showmen are the hymns of the Fidilaire de la Mort. Our literary sources begin with the Rigveda, 1200 or more BC, and only end with the most modern Vaishnav, Shaiv, and Tantric theological treatises. We must, however, especially mention the Bhagavad Gita is probably the most important single work ever produced in India. This book of 18 chapters is, not as it has been sometimes called, a sectarian work, but one universally studied and often repeated daily from memory by millions of Indians of all persuasions. It may be described as a compendium of the whole Vedic doctrine to be found in the earlier Vedas, Brahmanas, and Upanishads, and being therefore the basis of all the later developments, it can be regarded as the focus of all Indian religion. To this, we must add that pseudo historical Krishna and Arjun are to be identified with the mythical Agni and Indra.